You must be careful about the words you use, or the words you allow to be used in your house. Words are things. You must be careful. Careful about calling people out of their names, using racial pejoratives and sexual pejoratives and all that ignorance. Don't do that.
It's time to talk about it.
Pull up a chair and take a seat.
We're serving up recipes for life.
With Hampton University's Dr. Richard Mason and Dr. Tamara Williams.
Welcome to the Sunday Brunch.
I'm Dr. Tamara Williams.
And I am Dr. Richard Mason. Welcome to another edition of Sunday Brunch with the Good Doctors. I tell you, y'all didn't hear the conversation at the table just sitting down, just getting started. I tell you, I'm ready to roll. I don't know about y'all, but how you been?
Listen, Dr. Mason, I am always so excited to eat with you every Sunday and just the brunch and to have the conversations that we just need to have that we don't really usually have an opportunity to have. So I'm just always excited to see you, And the menu was always great. Today was even better. Just, I'm just so excited about what we're engaging upon
Exactly. You all missed everything. Just walking in and just seeing the table set and what's already on the buffet line. Y'all know I walked in with my fork because I tell you, keep your fork because when we get here, it's ready to go.
I just tell you, bring your chair because we have a table.
Exactly.
So we're gonna have a great time today. We're gonna have a great time, and we're gonna talk about something that is serious. It's something that really has happened to a lot of people. It's just popped up out of nowhere. I don't know if it's just always been there and we just didn't know what to call it, or how it has surfaced so rapidly.
Well, I think we're hearing more about it as we age. Should I say? I think we're hearing more things. Number one, but also I think it's always been there. I think it's just a matter of we just haven't addressed it. It's one of those things that I know my grandmother, when there were things that she would talk about, if it was certain things that were serious or whatever, she'd whisper certain things, and that was her mindset. She would, say little things, so-and-so, she got cancer. That's how she would do certain things.
Like you don't want to say it out loud. It may come to visit you, or, it was taboo to talk about, or it was a sensitive type topic. But, closed mouths don't get fed.
Exactly.
And just because you don't address it doesn't mean that it doesn't go away. Like, we have to talk about these things because these things are really occurring every day.
Yes.
And it really doesn't it's not a favor of person.
Right.
Or age.
Right.
Or gender even.
It's one of those things that makes you feel embarrassed about certain things, and really that's why we have this table. That's why we've set this table anyway, so that we can talk about these things, because when things come up in our families, we sometimes feel ashamed. We feel like we're the only ones going through certain things. I think back to even when COVID first came out, no one wanted to share that they actually had COVID.
And some people still don't.
Exactly.
The stigma attached to that.
Oh, yeah.
Other than saying, listen, I have the situation that has occurred. I need help. I need assistance. Yes, this is occurring to me, but there's things that I need in order to make this work.
And being able to reach out to people and feeling comfortable, because there are those out there that will support you if they know. And then sometimes we do have to share with people how we can be supported, because when we are strong, and it's the strong person who's used to giving of themselves and helping out, it's hard for them, and I'm talking to those folks right now.
There's strong people out there. Yeah.
Exactly.
People make the assumptions that we just have it all together, or that we don't need anything,
right,
or don't want anything, and that because we have so much to give, then what could they give? But, I think that's why this conversation is so important, because sometimes people, it's not that you're giving, sometimes it's just the offer,
right,
or just the presence of, and some things don't cost anything, and they mean everything,
right?
Don't cost anything. Time doesn't. It costs,
a simple text. Hey, I'm here. You need anything? You know,
thinking of you.
Exactly,
today.
Exactly. That's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah.
I like those
nothing.
little messages.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
It makes my day. A little video sometimes. Just laugh
Right.
about nothing specifically, but it just changes the atmosphere, and it's just saying, you know, I wanted you to laugh today. Laughter heals.
Right, exactly.
Smiling
and
heals,
something as simple as, hey, didn't want anything checking in on you.
Especially, can you go back to the part of didn't want anything?
Right, exactly.
I want nothing from you. I just want to add to you. My goal is always to leave people better than I found them.
Yes.
And you know, like people were laughing at me the other day because I told them, you know, when it's all said and done, I'm going to be cremated. They said, that's crazy. I said, people don't really visit you anyway. And anything you needed to say to me, you should have already said to me before I checked out. You understand?
Did you say people don't visit?
They don't visit anyhow. And then
right.
I'm not there anyhow. There's nothing else I can do from you from that standpoint. So let the work I've done speak for me.
Speak.
Just let my work speak.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, that cremation is a whole nother subject. That's all I'm talking about.
We've had that conversation at this table already, and we may have to come back. You know, to each their own. But you know, the main thing, remember, we talked about that people need to have a plan.
That's right.
But today we're going to talk about, you know, how do you survive even if that's not in your plan.
Right.
You know, because we don't plan some of the things that happen in our life. Most of the things that happen to us and we go through, we're not really planning for those things. Life happens.
Right. Exactly.
Life happens, but you have to make decisions from that point. So I'm excited about this guest that we have today because life happened to her, but she continued to live life.
And is living.
Hello, somebody.
Is living.
Out loud.
Look,
Out loud.
cartwheels and all.
Okay, rolling and all. Let's be straight. She's like, you know, not the cartwheels this year. She had to be realistic about her limitations this year, but she still gave everything she had, which, you know, that's when people give what they have, you appreciate that even more.
Yes.
She rolled through the grass for them kids. You understand me?
Yes.
She rode, as the buses rolled out, she rode through that grass. But without further ado, let's introduce to the table. We've talked so much before really introducing her. That was the appetizer. So now to this full entree, not a snack, boo-boo, a full entree of a meal. Miss Pamela Porter, teacher extraordinaire.
Yes.
Extraordinaire, you know. And she's going to teach us some things today about just her experience of going through something that most people, they don't even want to say the word. They whisper the word. Isn't that what you say? We don't talk about Bruno.
No.
We don't talk about cancer either, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So welcome to the table.
Thank
To the table.
Glad to be at the table.
Perfectly, Pamela.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yes.
Y'all are making me smile early.
Nothing wrong with that. It's contagious.
It's
Smile at this
contagious.
table. It's so much to smile about.
Yes, definitely so. We like the food, but we also like the conversation.
Love the food.
So jump right in. Tell everybody about. I know your story. You know, Pam is kinfolk, y'all. This is a cousin here.
This is a
y'all.
cousin.
All right. So
This is a family dinner.
yes,
no doubt.
exactly. It's always a family affair at the table. So tell everybody about yourself, Pam, so they can get to know you too.
Well, I am Pam, educator, New Purdue Public Schools, mother of one, better known as my favorite person, rising junior at Norfolk State University.
And we not beholden, but we're going to support him, but we not beholden. All right?
Behold.
Let them know. I'm a fan.
I tried
of
to whisper that.
Especially number one HBCU Spelman College. Shout out. Anyway,
But I am half pirate. I did
Yes.
receive my graduate degree from Hampton University.
Yes,
So
yes.
I am half pirate.
That's right. Rock the blue and
we
white.
all can live together.
We all can live together, honestly. Yeah. And I'm proud to say at this time, I am a cancer survivor.
Amen.
Yeah.
I say
Amen.
thriver.
I'm a thriver. Yeah.
You were thriving through that situation. Some
Yes.
people fall apart. Not to knock them through this situation, but when you see someone thrive through it, that's some motivation right there for you, boo boo.
Yeah. I don't. I did thrive. I am thriving through it. And the first people I told were not family members. Didn't want to tell family, but it was church members. And I just remember, okay, God got to get the glory, y'all. So it started there.
Okay.
It started there.
Let's go back just a second before that. What made you find out? How did you know? Like, you know, what was it? Because somebody may be in a situation where there's a trigger, something they should know. And
Well, I would just say up front, pay attention to your body. But I was going for my monthly mammogram.
Monthly.
I'm sorry, yearly.
Yeah, okay.
Year. Okay, I was going to say
Yearly.
insurance don't pay it for it monthly.
Okay, I'm about to say, she was so extra pocket. Yes,
She got
okay.
the super
Yeah,
premium.
yeah,
She got the
the-
super premium
Yeah,
policy.
no, I teach school, no super premiums. But I went for my yearly mammogram. And she called me back in. No problem. You always call me back in. I'm a little chunky. It's dense. No problem. She calls me back in. We do a second one, but then she calls me back in again. And this time it's September the 7th. And she says, you have cancer. What? We found a little lump. A little lump. How little? She said,
I mean, we just jumped right to that. Not
She-
like we found a lump. You know,
Right.
you have
She
cancer.
did.
Wait a
Well,
minute.
I told her I don't have time for
Excuse me,
stories.
ma'am.
I did. When I walked in, I said, just tell me what it is. I don't, because she called me in. I was in a different room. It was a nice room. Had cushion chair. Yeah, it was a different room. So I did. I was like, don't beat around the bush. Why am I here?
Yeah.
She said, well, you have cancer. I said, I do. She said, it's a very little lump. It was smaller than your fingertip. I said, okay, next step. It was really just that easy for me.
Okay.
Then I did back her up. I want to see last year's mammogram. I want to see it for myself. Last year's mammogram, she blew it up. It was clear. Then she showed me this year's or that year, and I looked, and it was it was little. She had to blow up the screen for me to see it.
Shout out to your doctor for the
That's
fact
right.
that she was able
Yes.
to determine that.
She was, yeah, because I asked her, how did you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I found out. Never had any fear. Paperwork galore. Invasive carcinoma, so mine was in my milk duct. And I just kind of left the office when I got something to eat.
What did you eat? 'Cause I mean,
What do you think I ate? You know what I ate. Everything I went straight to McDonald's.
Every last one of my feelings. What's on the menu, sir? Bring it all here.
Oh,
Right,
please.
right.
Take a drink.
I went straight to McDonald's. My favorite little, you know that. I shouldn't have gone. Big Mac, large fry.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Special sauce.
Special sauce, 2 old beef patties, extra sauce. And that's kind of what I did. Now, after that, I can't even tell y'all what happened the rest of the day.
Jesus.
I don't know. I do know I left that office and I went and got something to eat.
Yeah.
And that was kind of,
Therapeutic in itself. You had to.
salt, sugar, everything I didn't need that's bad for people with cancer.
wow.
It is, but I had to get through it.
Right.
See, I did not know that. Salt, sugar.
All that health, diet. Your diet is important. And things we learn after the fact.
Right.
Your diet is important. Your diet is important, so you have to be careful what you eat. But that was my comfort food, so that's where I went to. Me and Ronald go way back.
All right.
And then from there was tell the church members. At my church, we have a cancer ministry, a group called Pink Perseverance. Call
That's
them.
amazing.
They were great. They were there. I didn't know what my next steps were. And she asked me, she said, well, do you have a surgeon? Oh, no. I need a surgeon? She said, yes, you need a surgeon. I just didn't know where to go. I was just all over the place. So she said, you need a surgeon. She said, because you have to decide if you want a mastectomy or a lumpectomy. Then I called my pastor. Of course, the first thing he said was, did you call the Whitlocks? I did. Of course, he prayed, got me through. Then I had to get up the nerve to tell my family. That was probably the hardest thing. So
What were you concerned about, do you think?
who was going to break down and cry? Who was not going to be able to handle it?
Had you cried at that point?
No.
Okay.
And I can tell you to this day, the only time I've cried is to feel because of the amount of support I've had. I've never cried about cancer.
Amen.
Yeah. I've
It
never
was
cried.
to see how people showed up for you.
Man, look.
That's what got you.
That's
how
what
you
got
felt
me.
That you
That's what
you
I-
are loved.
Yeah, very well loved. Didn't
Because a
know I
lot of
was
people
that
talk
loved.
about it, but when you're
Right.
going through things, that's when you really know.
That's it.
Yeah.
Can you walk it like you talk it?
Correct.
What?
That's
Yeah.
the bottom line.
It just looked
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Not even real ducks.
Yeah.
Just over there quacking away.
Yeah. But telling my son,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Your favorite person.
my favorite person. He's the only child. How he would react. my sister, and of course my mother. And
Who's
we
like
have
your best friend?
my best friend.
Yeah.
And then we have a baby cousin. So all of us were raised together.
Did you tell them all at the same time?
I sure did.
You was like, I got one shot at this.
This it.
That's right.
So I had
You sat them at a table like this?
nope. We came to my house. I said, everybody come to my house 1:00. Don't ask questions. Be there. So you don't talk to my mother like that. So she had a question. I was like, Mom, you can't ask questions this time.
Right.
I said, you just can't. Well, I'm not coming. You are.
But you will be there.
Mama
yeah,
said you grown, but not grown.
Not grown enough to tell
Yeah.
you what to do, though.
But we got her there.
Man, my presence?
Right.
Yeah, and that's what
exactly.
it was, the man. But her grandson could get her to do anything, so she showed up.
They typically can.
Yeah. So they were all sitting there. The two ladies I had told at the beginning were sitting behind me. And I was like, all right, y'all, I got news. And my son, good news, bad news. Man, I got news. And I just blurted it out. I've been diagnosed with cancer. Because I've never said I have cancer. I was diagnosed with cancer. So my sister got the sad face. My little cousin was pregnant. So she came out with a good joke, perfect timing. You know, y'all should have told me this before I came. I needed to eat. But everybody just kind of sat there and looked. And my son was like, well, Mommy, how are you? I'm good. He said, if you good, I'm good. And that's how he's been rolling with it ever since. My mother, former nurse.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference.
168,000 questions. What state?
What's-
Yeah, all of that. And that's, I think I need to go back. I didn't have a stage. When I asked my doctor, what stage am I? She said, well, you're an early detection. She never said stage 1. Most recently, another doctor said, well, she had to give you a stage. She did not. She said, I was an early detection.
That saves your life.
That saved my life. And you all, I was on a trip. And God prepares you for things. And I like to tell this part of the story. I am fearful. I don't like to do things by myself. So I'm reading a book, Do It Afraid. I'm going to go on this trip by myself. I'm going to get on the train. I'm going to National Harbor. I'm doing all of this. Of course, I got my word with me. So I'm in the hotel room and I'm by myself. And, you know, God is speaking. I have been listening to CeCe Winans too. God can do anything but fail. All this started back in May.
You were preparing for this.
God was
moment.
preparing me for it, yes, because I didn't know it was coming. So I get on the train, I get there, and I'm in the hotel room, and I'm like, oh, God, you do speak. He was like, yeah, you just talk more than I do.
Literally, her line
His chatterbox, right. But, of course, I'm in this hotel room. There's no one to speak to.
Right.
I'm reading my word, and, you know, you need to cut this person off. You don't need to communicate. He's giving me names, and I'm looking around in the room like, what? I tried to change my return date. I did. I tried to, because it was wind down Thursdays or something at MGM, and I'm trying to change my date. No way I could do it. Couldn't change my doctor's appointment. And I'm so glad that all of that worked out that way, because I went from what the doctor said, an early detection. When I came out of surgery October 28th, I was a stage 2. So in my
It
mind,
has rapidly progressed.
correct, because what she said was your early detection grade 3. I heard that. What does grade 3 mean? It's fast and it's aggressive. Okay. I know what fast and aggressive mean, but I didn't really know what it meant until I came out of surgery and they said you were stage 2.
And how long was the
September the
surgery?
7th
Yeah.
until October 28th.
Wow.
That
Just a little over a month.
just a little over
It
the
had
month.
progressed that quickly.
Correct. So imagine if I had gotten another appointment.
If you
Right.
had
Pushed it-
postponed it at all.
Right. So I couldn't get another appointment. I couldn't get another train. It all worked out.
Because you were living your best life in
Honey.
this vacation by yourself. Even
Yes, McCormick and Schmidt. We was having the Ferris wheel. I was having a good
Yes.
time. Telephone off. I just took a picture every morning
Yes.
to show everybody what I had on. Sent it to my sister. And I went on about my business, having a good time. So, you know, that was God's way, I feel, of preparing me for what was to come. Which is why today I have not cried about the diagnosis
that
of
is
cancer.
amazing in itself, because
Yeah.
crying is a healthy thing too. Like just
Correct.
to purify, you know.
It is, but I have not. The diagnosis, I'm not going to say it didn't scare me, but it did open my eyes. It did open my eyes. I was actually able to see people clearly. I was able to see people
That's
clearly.
right.
when my first lock fell out, which was on Christmas Day, I was scratching my head. The lock came out. I was like, here we go, because I had already had. And my story is all out of order. I know, and I apologize for that. The treatment, my first treatment was December the 10th. I went and got my locks done, what I thought might be the last time, December the 16th. Wasted all my money.
No, you did not. No, you didn't. Oh, shout out to my loctician. I'll see you on Tuesday.
There you go. That was December the 10th. I'm sorry, December the 16th and December 25th, I lost that first lock. Went out looking for wigs, wasted money on wigs. Wigs still in the box, y'all. Wigs are still in the box. Then I was looking, but like 8 of them fell out in the back. I was like, that's it. I would have got them cut off. I told her to shave my head. You know, when you get a new hairdo, you got to kind of like, I like it, I don't like it. She spit me around in the chair. I was like, oh, I like her. I like me. It was like my locks, the diagnosis, everything made me a different person on the inside. I told my doctor that I know this probably sounds weird to people who are fighting right now, but I don't want to say it's the best thing that happened, but I think it was God's way of opening my eyes. I really do. I'm just...
You're more appreciative
I am.
of the things that people maybe would take for granted, or the things that even you might have taken for granted before. Yeah.
And we were talking about teaching. I took for granted that I had time. You know, I take leave in the middle. Oh, they done plucked my nerves today. I see y'all on Tuesday. You know, and just realizing things. That was a life lesson. You got to save your time. You don't know what life may throw at you. Appreciating
that's
life.
A dessert piece right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a dessert piece right there. We didn't already skipped all the way to the dessert. You have to preserve your time. You don't know when you're gonna need it.
You don't know when you, and I needed it. And I needed it.
Well, they say, you know, the thing in life is discovering your purpose. But I always say as well, not just discovering your purpose or your calling in life, but knowing what defines you. And it sounds like in this, you found some defining moments as far as who
Life defining.
you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your character, no doubt,
Exactly.
was already built, but it was redefined.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was. It was
Because
redefined.
you already had those character traits of showing up and working hard and teaching, and you know who you love to teach. But you taught people around you even bigger lessons and how you were going through this process.
Yeah, well, people, at first I thought maybe my cancer wasn't as big as everybody else's.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Because it didn't have a stage to it? Did you?
Because I didn't go through it like everyone else.
You went through it though.
Yeah. And people ask, there are cancer survivors who have, well, why did you do this? Well, why did you do that? Well, why is it on Facebook? Well, why is it on... I think it's a story that needs to be shared. You know, my story is not your story. My fight is not your fight.
It's no competition.
It's no competition. And I just said to the person, I think my support system helped me. I do. Ooh, y'all.
Take a moment. You know, we got plenty of tissue.
Look,
We
had a refill. There we go.
There we go. Listen, it's known to happen at the table when you're real about a situation. You're genuine about that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people out there who feel like they're really by themselves.
Correct.
And when you're going through these type of situations, that's when you really feel like you are by yourself late in the midnight hour when everybody else is sleeping and you up because you don't know what to do with yourself.
And can I be, if I'm honest with you, if I'm up, it never fail. I could be up. I couldn't flip over the right way. And it would be a text on my phone. Hey, girl. And I'm like, why you up? Girl, I couldn't sleep. Well, me either. Perfect timing. You know, perfect timing. It was just perfect timing. I call them babysitters by caregivers. One of them was mean. You know,
you need a good balance in your life.
you know, but you know,
No, you will not, Pamela.
Yeah, you will not. You need to take a nap. You sat up long enough. You need to rest. Did you put your ice pack on? Here's your medicine 2 minutes before.
Straight to were they a previous nurse?
No.
Oh.
She actually worked with me in the school system.
All right.
Yeah. So, but again, the support system, my line sisters,
Shout out
I got
to
to call them.
46.
My Line Sisters of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, my Newsom Park family, my church family, my biological family. When we, and I say we, because my sister, thank you, Phil, her husband, because he didn't have his wife for about a month. She stayed with me, and we wanted for nothing. Nothing. The telephone calls came in, the food came in, the prayers came in, the I need a break, can you come sit with Pam came in.
Now I know you knew Jonelle was gonna be right there.
Yes,
by
yes,
your
yes.
side,
My
glued
big little
at the
sister.
hip.
Yes,
That I
big
can tell.
Little sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, tell people some of the things that were helpful, because a lot of times people don't know what to ask for, and because you had a great network, even at your church, you said that these are people who have been through this process. They knew what to tell you. They had suggestions for you. So, what are some of the things that you think people would need to know that could be helpful for someone, that they could drop something off, or something that they could do specifically? Because a lot of times people want to help, they just don't know what to do, and they don't want to be overbearing, or they don't want to get all in your business. But when you're going through, just little small things sometimes are great gestures.
Little and literally that. Things that made me happy was a text, a telephone call, a note.
And people don't really call as much as they used to.
Right,
anymore.
they like to text, but a telephone call, simple notes, a snack. After chemo, your taste buds are horrible. In my case, everybody says theirs was metallic. Mine tastes like seawater.
Ooh.
Everything. So the
It's
only
like you're drowning.
Yeah, it just, your taste buds are gone. But once you found out what you could eat, that you can taste, anything, ask. I know we were talking about you don't want to be in people's business, but somebody did. They inboxed me. They was like, I don't mean to be in your business, but what's wrong with you?
You were taking all these pictures, getting your locks done, and how long they were growing, and all of a sudden one day you have zero locks.
Like, right.
And your head is stunning, right? So people make that choice, so they wouldn't automatically assume or know,
Right. And I will say, Facebook, you can put everything up there. And I put a lot, but I never just went out and said, hey, y'all, guess what? I was diagnosed with cancer.
That's what she never said.
I never said that.
I was one of those folks.
He's like, something's going on. I don't know what's going on.
Talk to me and what you need. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But when the locks went, because everybody knew my hair journey, Lord Jesus. So when the locks went, I remember somebody said, I thought it was a filter. Because I am right silly, and I know that. And she said, I thought it was a filter. I was like, no, baby, it's not a filter.
No, this is real life, boo-boo.
This is real life. But what happened? I said, chemo took it out. She said, chemo? What'd you take chemo for? Girl, they diagnosed me with cancer. So just people didn't know how to ask. So I just had to tell them.
Right. Because even saying chemo, most folks know cancer, cancer precedes chemo, but it's something that you don't want to hear.
You don't.
You know what I mean? And it's not real until you hear it. And that's why I said, think back to my grandmother where she would say things. It was like, cancer. It's like,
and see, in my family, they didn't even say cancer. They was like, girl, she had the C.
Oh, they gave it the C.
They gave it the C. And of course, I think previously before that, I had an aunt to die, and it probably was cancer, but we didn't know it.
Right.
Back then, we didn't. But yeah, it was the C. She had to see. Yeah. But
you're not a quiet person.
I'm not a quiet person. I'm really not. My babies, I forgot. My students.
Yes. Tell
Oh
us
my
about,
goodness.
Because what grade were you teaching?
I was teaching third grade.
So they're about 9 to 10 years old at third grade.
8, 9. So I went to school on October 25th, and then I got thrown out. Because I had to quarantine before I had surgery on the 28th. So I hadn't told my kids yet. So I kind of just got thrown out. It hurt my feelings because I wasn't able to explain to them what was going on.
You didn't want people whispering to them. You wanted them to hear from Miss Porter with the situation.
Correct.
Yeah.
So went out, but I finally, got to a point, and I had a Zoom meeting with my parents to explain to them what happened. It was right around the time I was getting ready to go back. And I had sent them notes. They had sent me Christmas cards. They had learned to email me through their Chromebooks, and I would have all these little notes. I was like, that's so sweet. But before I went back, I had a Zoom meeting with my parents, and I kept my camera off, and I told them, please don't have my babies there. This is an adult meeting only. So I finally opened up the camera. I was like, this is me. And you can see the parents' faces like, she ain't got no hair.
They couldn't hide. The poker faces were way off.
Gone. You know, so I explained to them what happened, and this is why I was out, and I apologize for leaving their children without giving them an explanation why their teacher was gone. And I told them I would read this book. You know, my teacher has cancer. And then at the end of the meeting, I told them, if you
That's
would like
an amazing book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I had to read. And it was, oh, my goodness.
It explains it to them.
Well, it does. And my children look like me. So they were like, Miss Porter, you know, we could do anything without hair. You know, and I was saying how my nails would get dark. It was like, girl, all you need is a manicure and a pedicure, because my kids do. So it was really easy for my kids. There was one young man, and I'll just call his first name Katie. That's my prayer warrior. Miss Porter, can I put you on the prayer list at my church? Yes. Miss Porter, can I bring you a prayer cloth? Yes. My baby came in one day, he had no hair. He shaved his head so he could be like Miss Porter. He was like my little bodyguard.
Oh, you cried that day.
Yes, I did. That's my baby. He will
cried.
forever be my baby. He was a bodyguard for a month. He walked beside me. And I finally had to say, baby, you can get back in line there. He was like, no, not yet, Miss Porter.
He wanted to make sure nobody was messing
You
with
could not
Miss
walk
Porter.
up on me. If people hit my door, and I had a sign on my door, you must wear your mask. He was like, you have to wear a mask in Miss Porter's class. He was my bodyguard, my little Katie. He was taller than me, but he was my little Katie.
Taller than you.
Pretty brown curly hair. So when he came in that day and he shaved his head, yeah, I had to leave the classroom. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Can you watch my class?
What a
Because you can't let the
blessing.
kids see you cry.
Oh, they would have saw it that day. It would have been straight waterworks.
What a blessing.
Yeah.
That makes me think, you know.
Listen, yeah, they.
Yeah. But how awesome are his parents to
Oh, yeah.
To allow him
Exactly.
to express his emotions that way.
His parents are wonderful.
No doubt. They raised an amazing little boy.
Miss Porter, just things they reached out. You know, he loves you, he appreciates you, he misses you. Yeah, so
That's a
they were
testament
good.
to you as well.
Yes.
That
Yes.
you were that important to him to propel
Right.
that type of feeling.
Well,
Like
I
he
love that
loves you,
little
he
dude.
misses you, he knows that you care about his education.
Right.
So I mean, everybody at this table's in education. We
Yeah.
know that you get as much from the students as you give.
Right, and,
yeah.
and they care. We have, I mean, the students really care. I know within, I've come across some teachers within the division who are dealing with cancer as well. Because even years ago, I remember one of my son's teachers having cancer, and she came as long as she could in terms of attending school and stuff like that or whatever, and she really engaged the kids. That was one of my son's best classes, you know, with her, and I felt the students saw she was giving her all. Even
And
going
what
through
is your
what
excuse?
she was
Yeah,
going
yeah.
through,
What
you
is
know?
your excuse if you can't at
Right.
least meet me halfway and you see everything that I'm giving? And it teaches them real life and how they can thrive through situations themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you kept showing up.
Yeah.
And there's people in our little people's lives that don't show up. And they don't have no excuse not to
Right.
show up.
Gotta show up for our babies. You gotta be there for them. My mother used to always say, you never break a promise to a child.
Please don't.
She's always said that. And I know...
Don't make them if you can't
Came
keep
in,
them.
right. It was a young lady. I kid you all night. I taught her in second grade. I don't know. She helped me out, and I promised her Takis weren't out then. I wish Takis would go away. I promised her some hot fries or something, and she didn't come back to school the last day, so she couldn't get her hot fries. This little girl, I happened to be Facebook friends with her grandmother. The little girl turned 15. I think she was maybe 14. And I sent her money for some hot fries and then money for her birthday. So her grandmother videotaped it. She said, "Do you remember Miss Porter?" The young lady was like, "Yeah." She said, "Well, this is from her." And the little girl, was just excited. Even though it was years later, I still didn't break that promise. Because I always remember what my mother said.
And you had it for her. She just didn't come to school that last day.
Correct, but she had to get it. She had to have it, but...
That's excellence in education right there.
Gotta do... The baby, like you said, as long as you do, they'll do. And then, even without their parents' support sometimes, they will do. They will.
They don't want to disappoint you
They
either
don't.
when they know that you're giving everything that you have. I mean, as educators, that doesn't mean you're exempt from life.
Correct.
We've had to show. I've showed up after many different situations in my personal life. We both lost our mothers. We still was coming to work, still showing up for our students. And they show up for you. They appreciate that you and that you're real enough to say this has occurred. But guess what? We still gonna learn today.
Oh yeah, we had fun too. Yeah, we had
Talk to us about why you went back, because some people in that process, because here we are in COVID, you know that's going on, and you still could not wait to get back to your classroom. There's some teachers who were running out of the classrooms.
Yeah, well, I wanted to run sometimes. I won't lie, but I think for me, I was sent out in October. I tried to go back. The COVID situation kind of, I don't want to say scared the doctors, but it made them think twice. So finally, I just pinned somebody there. I said, I need you to write me a note back to work. Well, Miss Porter, can you wait till after radiation? No, I need to get back to work. My kids need me. She was like, well, Miss Porter. So she just put all these accommodations in. I couldn't eat in the cafeteria. My kids couldn't eat breakfast in the classroom. Everybody had to wear a mask, and I got back to work. My babies needed consistency. Now, thankfully,
all of us do.
Yeah, we all do, but especially our babies. And now, thankfully, I was able to have, shout out to Miss Harris, she stayed in my class the whole time I was gone.
They had one
sub.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
One sub. So that was good. And her and I communicated. And she was also going through something with her family. But we kept going. But I had to get back to them. I was that. And honestly, tired of sitting at home. How many more books can I read? They were sending me the messages. Now, if they hadn't sent me messages, I might have stayed, but they kept talking to me.
They wanted to see you.
And I wanted to see them.
Don't forget me.
Right. So I had that need to get back to work. And somebody said, well, they got SOLs? I don't care about them SOLs. I want to see my kids.
That's right.
I want to see my kids. I know they got to take the SOLs, but I want to see my kids. So getting back to it was the best. I promise you, the first 2 weeks of school, we didn't do anything but play and talk.
But see, that's
real.
Exactly. And see, people don't understand. That's a part of the whole social emotional learning piece. You follow me?
Yes.
And see, even though now we have identified this as social emotional learning, all that was love and kindness. You understand?
Humanity.
Kids learn from those people that they feel love them.
Correct.
That's very simple. If you interact and connect with kids on a level that says, I care, I'm going to show up for you, and I want you to show up for you. And even when you can't show up for yourself, show up for me. You understand what I'm saying?
And they did not bully her in this process. That little boy stood by her to make sure nothing was going to happen.
And remember,
don't say nothing to Miss Porter. It's going to upset Miss Porter today.
Oh, please. He said that.
Right.
Don't upset Miss Porter.
Exactly. I was getting that vibe from this young man.
Oh, yeah. He was good. And the other thing Dr. May said, I always tell people, especially in elementary school, kids have a sixth sense. They know if you like them or not.
Yes.
You can fake it if you want. Them jokers know.
Don't even bother with it.
Yeah. They know, and I don't know why we lose it as we get older, but kids know. I can remember teaching. Little girl kicked in the door. She came in. She was fussing, and I was like, "Watch your mouth. Stop. Watch your mouth." She said, "The violin teacher told me to shut up." I said, "I tell you to shut up all the time." She looked at me. She said, "You like me. She don't like me." Yeah, light bulb moment for me. And I did like her.
That is real true, right? That we hear things differently depending on the messenger.
Yep.
When they say don't shoot the messenger, the messenger is important as to who's delivering this message.
But yeah, they know.
She said, you care.
Yeah, she did. She said, you like me. She don't like me.
Just here for the paycheck.
Exactly. And the lady didn't like her. And I do that. But, you try to teach kids, even if they don't like you, you just have to kind of play the game, if you will. Be respectful, move on.
Yeah, their behaviors is what you don't like.
Correct.
That don't have anything. If people knew what the children went through before they even show up to school, they would leave these babies alone. Or they would show up more and not leave them alone.
But see, that's where I honestly feel that education and becoming a teacher is truly a calling. You just can't fall into this thing. And I think we have generated a culture in some areas whereby we've allowed people to use education or teaching, should I say, as a fallback.
A default.
You know what I mean? But we really have to find, this is my purpose. This is what, it's not about a paycheck. It's not about anything else. This is my calling to be at this place in this moment in time, in this season, to teach these children. And that's where I think COVID and this pandemic really, really kind of showed us what this was. And there's no disrespect for those who decided to retire that may have been in any of the divisions for years. There's no disrespect to folks who decided to leave, that they wanted something else or whatever. However, when I look at the things that people have gone through, the sacrifices, year after year, it's not going to be easy. No job is easy. It's all based on when you're doing what you love and you've been called to do this thing.
That's when you show
makes
up.
a difference.
That's when you're committed to your commitment and not your feelings. It's a whole different ball game when you're doing what you're called to.
But I can't sit here and be a hypocrite.
Listen, I know what you're about to say.
Yeah, I love my
Everything
job.
going great.
No, I love my job, and there are plenty of days, you know what, I'm sick of this. I'm done. I'm done. I'm sick of this. The kids are fine. And I like the knuckleheads. They my favorite kind. I like when your little light bulb goes off at the end, or you realize, oh, she does love me and she not going away. No, I'm not going away. You're going to learn too. I'm staying here. It's actually, for me, the system. It's the system. It's the children. Teaching the children are fine. It's the system. And of course, that's a whole other conversation. But I like the kids. But I like what I do.
You love them,
calling.
baby.
Your calling is teaching. It's the administration
It's
and the
coaching,
processes.
too.
You see what I'm saying? The processes that need work.
Correct.
That you have to work through. But that's what I'm saying. It really is that calling that keeps you there. Because any job, you can say, hey, engineering is my calling. But you may not like upper management and the decisions that they make. Everyone has these types of challenges on their job. But it's your calling that keeps you in that field.
And passionate
can I be
about
honest?
that.
Yeah.
But you
And
need
the-
skill too.
You do, and I say this all the time. So you use engineering. Engineering does affect people, but if I can't do my job effectively, you can't get an engineer. So when I hear people talk about other jobs, you're right. But I got 26 little faces, and if I can't get these little 26 faces on grade level or let them know, in my case, sometimes I have to tell my kids, the world doesn't like us. So we have to be better.
Right.
So when you go to 4th grade next year, or and I'll use what I taught kindergarten. When my kids used to be the only kids that wrote their first and last name, because we have to do extra, baby.
Right.
We have to do extra to make it.
Right.
If you were in kindergarten, they say you have to count to 100. My kids can count to 150. We have to do extra, baby. So there are little people in front of me that I affect, that if I don't get them right, you'll never see your engineer. You'll never see your little mass comm majors. You'll never see your presidents.
Right.
And those are the things I keep telling people. It's not that everyone else's job is that hard, but what is it? Teachers make every job possible.
That's right.
Y'all got to get us here.
Right.
You got to get us right here. And I even tell the school systems, stop. I feel like K2 gets ignored. And then we get to 3, 4, 5. Well, if y'all catch us at K1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 won't be so hard because they got their foundation. So I just think we have to look at the whole picture
You
when it comes to.
definitely need the fundamentals.
Yeah, you got to do it.
That's that
but
early
there are no
childhood
SOL.
initiative.
Oh, wrong conversation. But there are no SOLs at
Yes.
K1 and 2.
Yeah.
And we kind of get forgotten down there.
Yeah, people, you do, and some people don't take K1 and 2 as seriously. Some parents don't take it as seriously. They think as if it's an option at that point.
Correct.
As to whether or not they're going to send their kids to school. And we ain't even talking about what happened in COVID and absences.
Right.
But-
Well, education is the
Yeah.
key, and that's the thing that I that's my mission: education and mental health. And that's the thing I preach when we look at every job, every opportunity. It's all based on the foundation of education. When you look at a community, if the school system or your school division is not up to par, it's your community is really going to be challenged. Education is the economic driving force behind any community. People move into certain school divisions or districts or localities
And get
based
arrested
on
when they
the
put their kids in.
schools,
Exactly.
based on the schools.
I just said that. I just told
Absolutely.
somebody every school has to be up to par because I'm not going to move here if my child can't get to a decent school.
Right, exactly.
I'm just not. No,
Right.
I'm not. I talk about it. People would drive through our city to go to Norfolk or Chesapeake or Virginia Beach, or they'll drive through our city and go to Williamsburg, York County. You shouldn't be driving through our city. You need to be stopping in our city. You know, the ACE program at Phoebus is great. I'm an alumnus of Phoebus, y'all.
And say that again.
The ACE program.
The city school board, so
I'ma just put that
Yeah.
one out there.
Just put that plug there.
Exactly.
Academies matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so education is key. So
Yes. Well, we know better, we do better,
Well,
or
we
at
know.
least we should.
we should.
And if no one is giving you the education is such that you can get out there and get it for yourself. The libraries, all types of things. If you're willing to put in the work, when you know what you know, they can't tell you any different.
There you
Right.
go.
And so, we know that education is key. So we're glad that you got back out there. What was it within you that made you get back out there? Because of the babies,
I like what I do.
and even with cancer, like it wasn't just the babies, but you were out there, period. Like some people, when they're going through, they have to be alone or they don't want to be seen, or but there was not too much that you missed. The occasions you got out there.
I guess I don't know. If you look on my Facebook post, it say God is my source. That's all I have for you.
So you do know.
I do
It's
know.
not that you don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
you do know.
God is my source. I like people. I really do. That doesn't mean they don't get on my nerves, but I like people. I have to go back to my support system. My support system would not let me go down. Even if I thought about it, there was no time for me to have a down moment. There are moments I thought, my little Caden, he wanted to know why. I told him, God chose me. I have a purpose. He picked me because I'm supposed to do something with this. And that settled him. The fact that God chose me, that settled my baby. Because his mother said he was having a hard time. But God chose me. I'm the person. I have people who were going through cancer, and I talked to them, and I didn't know it. They would call me the next day. They say, girl, you made me happy. So I used to always say as a child that I was God's sense of humor. God has to have a sense of humor. And that was it. But I don't know. I do know, like you said, God is my source. I can't give any of this to anybody but God. I don't know how you smile through this. I don't know people who don't have a support system. I don't know how they get through this. I was told about a young lady who had a double mastectomy and no support system. 2 children. How did she get through this? I wish I could find her. I got a support system because I will pull my support system with me. I don't have an answer for that except for God is my source. Because I've seen other people go through. I've seen the struggle they went through.
His grace is sufficient. That's what I do know.
Yeah.
His grace is sufficient.
Going to chemo, watching other people go through. I was told about it. They call it the red devil. And they said it's harsh.
They call what the red devil?
It's medicine.
Oh.
Some chemo patients have to have. I know my last chemo treatment, there was a young lady and I looked up at her bag. And there it sat. So at Pink Perseverance, they give us prayer books. I love my prayer book. And I didn't want to give it up. But I just felt she needed it.
Because she was battling the red devil.
She was, and she looked good battling it at that time. But something said, you got to give up your book. You want to, that's my book. But
You don't need it like she needed, though.
I gave her, but I got another one. I won't. So I gave her my book, and I immediately called for another one. And I put my number in it. I picked the number, to Peak Perseverance in it. And I was like, if you need it, call the number.
But see, that's about who you are. Even while you're going through, you are giving still of yourself to do something for someone else, giving up your pink prayer book. That's that's
That
what
was my pink prayer
You
book.
gonna write your prayers in that book.
I
You know
wrote
what
my
I'm saying?
prayers
But
in
you
that
knew
book.
how
I
to get
served.
access to another
I
one.
sure
That's
did,
right.
yeah.
Sharing
Right.
is caring all day long.
Yeah.
But you
But-
could have
Something?
easily walked away and said, I'm gonna pray for you, because that's
I
how
got
we
mine.
do.
You better get yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you did something.
Yeah,
That
I
was
had
that
to.
walking it like you talk it mentality, and you gave her your prayer book, even while you're going through. See, that's what I'm talking about.
And I appreciate how you allow people to assist you and help you
was
and to
hard.
get in where they fit in. Because some people, they won't receive help. Some people want to help, but they just, they don't know how. And when they do give it, they give them a hard time by helping versus redirecting how they actually can help.
And I will admit, being a single mother is hard to accept help. You've been taught to do it yourself, get it done. So when this happened, I kind of was. You remember I told you my eyes were open. That was what you got to accept this help. You can't do this by yourself. There's no way you can get through this by yourself. So all that talking God did to me in August on my little trip.
When you went on by yourself.
By
He said, let
myself.
this be the end of that.
Yes, yeah. So so I say to anybody, if you know somebody or you think, ask. They're either gonna say, "Why are you in my business?" or they're gonna let you know.
Don't take it personal.
Don't take it personal.
If your goal is to help and assist, you will receive that the way that it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Because how was your attitude during that time? Did you have moments?
No. And and I think I don't want to say that scares me, but that's just how good God is.
Yeah, he does.
Because I didn't. People say you didn't. Nah. I mean, there were nights you had more pains than other. You flipped over the wrong way, but.
Because you have to sleep a certain way depending on what type of surgery you have.
And I
Absolutely.
think that was one of those things when somebody said, what help do you need? You don't know. So one person told me, she said, you're not going to be able to lift your arm up. So I had big shirts.
Button-up shirts.
Button-up shirts. And then, mine was on my right side, so I needed a pillow so I can be leveled at night as opposed to letting it hang down. But you don't know until you get into it. You have to ask. And you need a support system. You need a support system.
What I noticed is that you shared in the beginning that it initially wasn't your family, even though you have a very supportive family. That wasn't the first jump that you make. And so people need to recognize that while we're sitting at the table and we're having a family dinner, that we make our family.
Yeah. Correct. Correct.
We make our family.
Correct.
We choose that. So you were able to find people who you were able to reach out to even soften just the understanding of the blow of how to have this conversation with somebody else.
And one of the people was a medical person as well.
Oh, that is always right. That helps.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was because my mother's questions. I was like, what? And she was able to say, this is what your mother meant. Yeah, because y'all talking a foreign language. I don't understand that. They were literally talking in medical terms. But yeah, I say to anyone, you need a support system. Even if it's one person, and let that person ask another person, and that person, until you have a system. My system was huge. My system was huge.
What a blessing.
My system still checks on me to this day. To this day. So, support.
You were just throwing a pitch the other day.
I was. That's right. At the basement game.
Yeah.
I did, yeah. So get
You
your
were
support
striking
system.
out cancer,
Yeah. Yeah, so and enjoy life. After you get through it, enjoy it.
That part, appreciate it and enjoy it.
Yep.
We were
Enjoy
talking
it.
about living in the moment and not, I think people get overly concerned about what may happen, what could happen.
Yeah, and you do have this fear now. What if he comes back?
Yeah.
Everyone say, was it supposed to do that? What if he comes back? So I have that, but I'm trying not to let that consume my life.
So right now you're in remission.
No, I'm cured.
Oh,
That's
hello,
what I say.
somebody.
Y'all
Hey.
remission it. I'm cured as far as I can. Yeah.
I like the language change. We got to speak what we
That
know.
cancer free is
Okay.
that's what you're saying. Yes.
You
Yeah.
got a diagnosis.
Look,
That's
right.
all I had was a diagnosis. So that's how I feel about it. Yeah, so
Language matters.
Yes.
language does.
Yes.
And you got to be positive. Attitude is everything.
And that's the piece that I think also needs to be shared. Even though we may get a particular diagnosis, I think your faith, I hear it and see it, but your faith and understanding is key. You follow me? And how you move through this process, because they say that your attitude and your emotional state of mind can affect your physical state of mind. We know that all of the work that's been done through the study of adverse childhood experiences can affect hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, and all of those things or whatever. And very similar here, it's your mentality and how you walk through these things from a mental health perspective, And so just hearing the difference in your approach certainly, I'm sure, has made a difference in how you've actually weathered this storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know who you are, whose you are.
Whose you are.
What other question do you need to have in your life?
And it's not easy. It's certainly a tough battle, because I've been with family members and friends who've actually had to go this walk, and that's one of the things, just helping them to guard their mental health. And sometimes, the mindset is it's easy for you to stand on the outside of this thing and say, cheer up, or
you'll be okay.
Exactly,
you'll be
or whatever.
Fine.
But just a matter of just changing your mindset, if nothing else, doing something different that'll get your mind off of the diagnosis at least.
At least.
And creating a schedule. I think that, having that expectation where you want to be, so that you can normalize it as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting back to life. And I've been told, I see you're out more. Yeah.
You appreciate it, don't you?
I see you're out more. I am.
That's that enjoy life part.
Enjoy life. Is that guaranteed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference,
Yeah,
I tell you. Well, I say, listen, we have had a great time at this here table today.
Absolutely. I'm full, bro.
Oh, yes. Support systems are necessary, but also it's certainly necessary to be able to communicate with those around you and recognize even strong people need that support system. You can continue to pour into others, but you need others to pour into you, because if your cup is empty, you cannot give anybody else a drink, And I tell folks, sometimes now it's a mentality of mine. I try to keep my own cup full,
I promise I fill my
exactly,
cup up.
Blessings overflow, so I let people drink from my overflow. That's my mindset now, And it's not that it's selfish or anything like that or whatever.
It's necessary.
But it's necessary. So, well, I tell you, we've had a great time at the table today. I am Dr. Richard Mason.
I am Dr. Tamara Williams.
And we just want to say thank you for joining us once again right here on WHOV 88.1.
The essence of HU.
Keep you full.
Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. I think they get on the walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs, in your upholstery, in your clothes, and finally into you.
Thank you for joining us at the table.
Tune in next Sunday at 1 p.m. for more delicious topical recipes for life on the Sunday Brunch.
On Smooth 88.1 WHOV.